In the vast hierarchies of celestial beings that span across Abrahamic traditions, few figures inspire as much reverence and mystery as Azrael, the angel of death. Welcome back to another episode. Before we begin this journey into the ancient texts and legends surrounding this enigmatic figure, if you find value in these explorations of divine beings and sacred traditions, please subscribe and follow our channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you content about the spiritual realms that have shaped human understanding for millennia. Now, let us enter the world of Azrael. The angel of death appears in all three major Abrahamic religions, though his characterization, name, and theological role vary significantly across these traditions. In Islamic tradition, the angel bears the name Azrael, which translates to "whom God helps" or "helper of God," revealing his fundamental purpose in the divine order. This etymology appears in classical Islamic texts, establishing him not as a force of malevolence, but as an instrument of divine will. Azrael stands as one of the four archangels in Islamic cosmology, alongside Jibril, also known as Gabriel, Mikael, otherwise known as Michael, and Israfil. Islamic tradition firmly establishes Azrael as an angel, never a demon, despite his fearsome reputation. Angels in Islamic cosmology possess no free will and exist solely to execute God's commands with absolute obedience. Azrael operates under this same divine constraint, carrying out his duties without deviation or personal judgment. In Jewish mystical tradition, particularly within Kabbalistic texts, an angel of death appears, though not always identified specifically as Azrael. The Talmud describes the angel of death as having multiple eyes, covered entirely with them, suggesting an all-seeing nature that allows him to observe all of humanity simultaneously. The Zohar, a foundational work of Kabbalah, presents the angel of death as a necessary component of creation's balance, neither wholly evil nor wholly good, but fulfilling the requirements of cosmic justice. The descriptions of Azrael's appearance vary dramatically across different traditions and texts, reflecting both cultural contexts and theological emphases. These variations themselves tell us something important about how different communities understand death and divine judgment. Islamic tradition, particularly in Hadith literature and later mystical texts, describes Azrael as a being of such immense proportions that his form transcends human comprehension. The scholar al-Qurtubi, in his Tafsir al-Jami li Ahkam al-Quran, relates that Azrael's body stretches from the lowest earth to beyond the highest heaven. According to Islamic tradition, particularly narrations from classical scholars like al-Qurtubi and Ibn Zafar al-Wa'ish, Azrael possesses 4,000 wings, which span from the eastern horizon to the western horizon when extended, symbolizing his reach across all creation. These wings are divided into two distinct types: wings of grace and wings of punishment. The wings of grace are used when taking the souls of the righteous, enveloping them in divine mercy and comfort. The wings of punishment, described as being made from iron rods, hooks, and scissors, are used when extracting the souls of the wicked, symbolizing the harsh and painful nature of their death. This duality in his wings reflects Azrael's dual role, as both a compassionate guide for the faithful and an enforcer of divine justice for the sinful. One of the most striking descriptions appears in Islamic eschatological literature. Azrael possesses 70,000 feet, and each foot commands 70,000 heads. Each head contains 70,000 faces. Each face holds 70,000 mouths. Each mouth speaks 70,000 languages, and through each tongue, Azrael continuously glorifies God. This mathematical progression emphasizes not literal biology, but the incomprehensible magnitude of his being and his ceaseless devotion to divine praise, even while executing his somber duties. The tradition of Azrael's countless eyes mirrors Jewish descriptions. These eyes perpetually scan the earth, the heavens, and all dimensions of existence. According to some narrations, when an eye closes, a soul departs from the world. This imagery transforms the act of death into a cosmic observation. Azrael literally witnesses each soul, knows its time, and performs his duty with precision. Different souls encounter different manifestations of Azrael. Islamic tradition holds that righteous souls perceive Azrael as beautiful and radiant, his face shining with divine light, his presence bringing peace rather than terror. The Hadith literature, particularly collections focused on eschatology, describes how Azrael appears to the faithful as more luminous than the sun, wearing garments of light and approaching with gentleness. Conversely, sinful souls perceive him as terrifying. His countenance darkens, his form becomes monstrous, and his approach fills them with dread. This duality reflects not Azrael's nature changing, but the soul's own spiritual state coloring its perception. Azrael occupies a unique position in celestial hierarchies, one that sets him apart from other archangels due to his specific and universal mandate. While Jibril serves as the messenger bringing revelation, and Mikael oversees sustenance and natural forces, Azrael alone holds dominion over the transition between life and death for all creation. According to Islamic tradition, Azrael commands numerous subordinate angels of death who assist in collecting souls. The number varies in different sources. These lesser angels of death work under Azrael's direct supervision, operating throughout the earth to facilitate the departure of souls at their appointed times. However, Azrael himself takes the souls of prophets, righteous saints, and other significant individuals, considering such collections too important to delegate. The hierarchy extends further. Islamic eschatological texts describe specialized angels within Azrael's dominion. Some record the exact moment of death, others prepare the soul for its journey, and still others bear the deceased to their temporary resting places until resurrection. This organizational structure reveals a sophisticated understanding of death, not as a single moment, but as a process requiring coordination across multiple celestial agents. Azrael's authority extends across all living beings without exception. According to this tradition, when all other beings have died, Azrael will remain with only Jibril, Mikael, and Israfil. God will then command Azrael to take the soul of Israfil, followed by Mikael, then Jibril. Finally, Azrael himself will die when God commands it, making him the last of all living creatures to die. This narrative establishes Azrael's position with remarkable clarity. He outlasts even the other great archangels, his duty encompassing even them, yet he, too, ultimately submits to the one who created him. His rank is thus both supreme among angels regarding his specific function and entirely subordinate to divine authority. Azrael's powers center entirely on his role as the separator of souls from bodies, but Islamic tradition elaborates these abilities with remarkable specificity. His primary power, the extraction of souls, operates through methods that vary according to the soul's spiritual condition. For righteous souls, Azrael extracts life with gentleness, described in Hadith literature as being easier than drawing water from a pitcher or removing a hair from butter. The soul emerges willingly, even eagerly, toward the divine mercy awaiting it. Some traditions describe Azrael using a blade of light, though this appears metaphorical rather than literal, representing the clean severance of soul from flesh. For corrupted souls, the extraction becomes violent and painful. Hadith narrations describe Azrael tearing such souls from bodies like thorns pulled from wet wool. Each fiber clings desperately, causing anguish as it separates. This agony reflects not Azrael's cruelty, but the soul's own attachment to worldly existence and its unpreparedness for the judgment to come. Azrael possesses complete knowledge of every soul's appointed time. Before creation, according to Islamic cosmology, Allah inscribed the moment of each being's death upon the preserved tablet. Azrael reads from this tablet, knowing precisely when each soul must depart. No prayer, no bargaining, no power can alter what stands written. This foreknowledge extends even to the location of death. A person might travel across the world, but if their death is appointed in a distant land, circumstances will conspire to bring them there at the proper moment. The angel also possesses the power to manifest in multiple locations simultaneously. Since death occurs constantly across the earth, some estimate that over 150,000 people die daily in the modern world, Azrael must attend to countless souls at once. Islamic scholars explain this through the concept that angels are not bound by physical limitations as humans are. Azrael's consciousness operates across all dimensions of existence simultaneously, allowing him to be personally present for each death while remaining a unified being. Despite his formidable powers, Azrael operates under absolute limitations that define his nature as a servant rather than an autonomous force. He cannot take a soul before its appointed time, nor can he delay a death that has been decreed. This constraint appears not as a flaw, but as the essence of his angelic nature, perfect obedience without deviation. Islamic tradition records that Azrael experiences profound sorrow when taking the souls of the righteous, particularly prophets and saints. While he cannot refuse his duty, the emotional weight of separating such pure souls from the world affects him. Conversely, taking the souls of the wicked brings him no pleasure either, only the satisfaction of fulfilling God's command. This emotional complexity distinguishes Azrael from a mere mechanism of death, presenting him as a conscious being who feels the weight of his eternal task. The Hadith literature preserves a remarkable tradition about Prophet Muhammad and Azrael. When Azrael came to take the prophet's soul, he did not enter immediately but waited outside, showing unprecedented deference. Jibril told the prophet that Azrael had never shown such respect to any prophet before, nor would he show it to any after. Even in this moment of ultimate authority, the taking of a soul, Azrael demonstrated his subordinate position to those whom Allah had elevated. Azrael cannot be bargained with, cannot be deceived, and cannot be escaped. Folk traditions from various Islamic cultures preserve tales of individuals attempting to outsmart death, but these always end with the revelation that one cannot outrun one's appointed time. The most famous of these appears in various forms across Middle Eastern literature. A servant sees Azrael in the marketplace and flees to a distant city to escape him, only to discover that his appointment with death was always in that distant city, and his flight merely brought him to the proper location. Azrael's primary duty, the separation of souls from bodies, encompasses far more complexity than simply causing death. Islamic tradition describes this process as having multiple stages, each requiring specific actions from the angel of death and his subordinates. When a soul's appointed time approaches, Azrael or his deputized angels appear at the bedside. Islamic tradition holds that the dying person sees these angelic visitors even if others present cannot. The accounts describe angels of mercy arriving for the righteous, carrying fragrant shrouds from paradise, speaking words of comfort, and easing the soul's transition. Their very presence brings peace to the dying believer's heart. For the unrighteous, angels of punishment accompany Azrael, bearing rough shrouds of fire, their faces stern, their voices harsh. The terror of their appearance compounds the soul's agony. Medieval Islamic scholar Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, in his work Kitab al-Ruh, which means the Book of the Soul, provides extensive descriptions of these proceedings, drawing from hadith literature and theological interpretation. After extraction, Azrael immediately presents the soul for its initial judgment. Righteous souls ascend through the seven heavens, with gates opening before them as angels announce their arrival with praise. The soul experiences joy at each level, drawing ever closer to the divine presence. Wicked souls, attempting the same ascent, find the gates of heaven closed against them, and they fall back to the lowest realm to await resurrection. Azrael also maintains records. Islamic tradition describes the Book of the Dead, wherein every soul's departure is inscribed. Some traditions suggest Azrael personally records each death, noting the time, the soul's state, and its destination. This record-keeping serves the divine order, ensuring that on the day of resurrection, every soul can be accounted for and summoned to judgment. The legends surrounding Azrael span centuries and cultures, each revealing different aspects of how communities understand death and divine justice. One of the most significant narratives concerns the creation of Adam itself. According to Islamic tradition preserved in tafsir literature, when Allah decided to create Adam, he commanded the angels to bring clay from the earth. The earth, knowing that this clay would form a being capable of both great good and terrible evil, refused to give up its substance. Several angels attempted the task, but the earth appealed to them by God's justice, arguing that they should not take what would lead to creation's testing and suffering. Finally, Allah sent Azrael. When the earth made its same appeal, Azrael responded that he could not disobey a divine command, regardless of the earth's protests. He took clay from all parts of the earth, from mountains and valleys, from red soil and black, from fertile ground and barren, which explains humanity's diversity in appearance and character. Because Azrael succeeded where others failed, Allah appointed him as the Angel of Death, reasoning that one who could complete such a difficult task, despite resistance, possessed the necessary strength for the hardest duty of all. Another profound legend appears in various Islamic and Jewish mystical sources, the meeting between Azrael and Moses. According to this tradition, Moses struck Azrael when the angel came to take his soul, and the blow was so powerful that it knocked out one of Azrael's eyes. Azrael returned to God, showing his injury and explaining that Moses refused to die. Allah sent Azrael back with instructions to tell Moses to place his hand on a bull's back, and for every hair his hand covered he would receive an additional year of life. Realizing that he cannot escape death, Moses submits to Azrael. This legend illustrates both Moses' special status, that he could resist even Azrael temporarily, and the ultimate inescapability of death, which even the greatest prophet must accept. The tradition of Prophet Sulaiman provides another remarkable encounter. According to Islamic legend, Azrael once appeared in Sulaiman's court in visible form. A man present saw the angel of death staring at him intently and, terrified, begged Sulaiman to command the wind to carry him to a distant land. Sulaiman obliged, and the wind transported the man to India. After he left, Sulaiman asked Azrael why he had stared so intensely at the man. Azrael responded that he was to take his soul in India later that day, and was surprised to see him in Sulaiman's court. The man's flight meant to escape death had merely brought him to his appointed place. Beyond his role in legends, Islamic tradition attributes several distinctive properties to Azrael that illuminate his nature and function within the cosmic order. Azrael possesses the unique characteristic of seeing souls within bodies. To him, the human form appears transparent, and he observes the soul as clearly as humans see faces. This vision allows him to know immediately a soul's spiritual state, whether it shines with faith or darkens with corruption. Some traditions suggest this ability causes him sorrow, for he witnesses all souls from birth, knowing which will rise to paradise and which will descend to punishment. Yet he cannot intervene to change their fates, only observe and ultimately collect them. The angel maintains absolute impartiality. Unlike human executors of justice who might be swayed by beauty, status, wealth, or pleas for mercy, Azrael operates with perfect equity. The Hadith literature emphasizes this repeatedly. He takes the infant and the elder, the king and the beggar, the scholar and the ignorant, all at their appointed times without favoritism or delay. This impartiality reflects divine justice itself, before which all humans stand equal. Islamic mystical tradition describes Azrael as one of the few beings who continuously weep. The 12th century Sufi mystic al-Ghazali, in his Ihya Ulum al-Din, mentions that Azrael constantly sheds tears. One eye weeps for the suffering caused by death's separation of loved ones, while the other weeps in fear and awe of Allah's majesty. These tears, some traditions claim, water the earth itself, mixing with rain and dew, making death's sorrow a literal part of creation's cycle. Azrael's interactions with other angels reveal much about his position and personality. His relationship with Jibril appears particularly significant in Islamic tradition. Jibril brings revelation and life's guidance. Azrael brings life's conclusion. Together they represent the alpha and omega of human existence in relation to the divine. One delivers God's message to living souls, the other delivers souls themselves to God's judgment. The tradition records cooperation between Azrael and Munkar and Nakir, the two angels who question the dead in their graves. After Azrael extracts a soul and it undergoes initial processing, these interrogating angels take over, examining the deceased's faith and deeds. This handoff represents different phases of the soul's post-mortem journey, with each set of angels specializing in particular aspects. Israfil, who will blow the trumpet to announce resurrection, maintains a unique connection with Azrael. Islamic eschatology describes how Israfil's first trumpet blast will cause all living beings to die. Essentially, Israfil's sound empowers Azrael's final universal collection of souls. The second blast will resurrect all the dead, effectively reversing Azrael's work entirely. This interplay between death and resurrection, between Azrael and Israfil, demonstrates the temporary nature of death itself in Islamic cosmology. Islamic tradition strongly discourages any attempt to invoke, summon, or command Azrael. Unlike some folk magic traditions that claim to call upon angels for various purposes, mainstream Islamic scholarship uniformly condemns attempts to contact the angel of death. Such efforts would constitute both futility and impiety. Futility because Azrael comes only at Allah's command, and impiety because attempting to manipulate or communicate with death's angel suggests a desire to know or alter what Allah has wisely hidden. However, Islamic practice includes numerous prayers and supplications seeking a good death. Not escape from death, but a peaceful passing while in a state of faith. These prayers acknowledge Azrael's inevitable arrival while asking Allah to make the encounter easy. Certain protective practices exist in Islamic tradition, not to ward off Azrael, but to ensure one is prepared whenever he arrives. Maintaining ritual purity, regularly performing prayers, seeking forgiveness for sins, and living righteously serve as the only true protection, not preventing death but preparing for it so that Azrael's appearance brings peace rather than terror. While we focus primarily on Azrael himself, briefly noting his relationship to similar figures in other traditions helps contextualize his unique characteristics. Jewish tradition's angel of death, particularly in Talmudic and Kabbalistic sources, shares many attributes with Azrael, but also shows distinctive differences. The Talmud sometimes presents the angel of death as having a more adversarial relationship with humanity, occasionally depicted as being outwitted temporarily by clever rabbis, though never ultimately escaped. The Zohar presents the angel of death as created on the first day of creation, suggesting death existed as a cosmic principle from the very beginning, waiting to be activated after human disobedience. This differs from some Islamic interpretations that suggest death entered creation only after Adam's fall, though scholarly opinion varies on this point. In Christian tradition, while death appears as a force and concept, particularly in the Book of Revelation, where death rides as one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, Christianity generally does not develop a single angel of death, comparable to Azrael. This absence reflects different theological emphases. Christianity focuses more on Christ's victory over death rather than on death's angelic administrator. Azrael stands as one of the most essential figures in Islamic angelology, a being of immense power yet perfect submission, of universal authority yet complete servitude. His role as the angel of death encompasses not cruelty but mercy, not randomness but precision, not ending but transition. From the moment he gathered clay for Adam's creation to the final day when he himself will die at Allah's command, Azrael fulfills the most difficult duty in creation with unwavering obedience. The legends and traditions surrounding him reveal humanity's eternal struggle to understand mortality, to find meaning in death, and to prepare for the one certainty every living being faces. Whether appearing with beauty to the righteous or terror to the wicked, whether extracting souls with gentleness or force, Azrael performs the same essential function, returning each soul to its creator for judgment and eternal destiny. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of Azrael, the angel of death. If you found this journey through sacred texts and ancient traditions meaningful, please share it with others who seek understanding of these timeless spiritual truths. We invite you to join us again as we continue exploring the divine beings and sacred mysteries that have shaped human consciousness across the ages. Until we meet again, may you find peace in your seeking.